that's already been done. But every time somebody points at something, there is also conventional explanations for it. We really haven't seen anything, incredibly amazing pop up. We see improvements over products here and there, and a couple things, but there really hasn't been any quantum leaps, in recent times.
Well, you may recall, if you ever heard Colonel Corso's story before he passed on, that he suggested that's exactly how a number of things made it from the Roswell crash to modern industry. It's pretty interesting stuff. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Okay. Hi, Art. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Hey there.
Speak up good and loud, sir.
Okay. This is Alan from Colorado, and I have 3 questions, so I hope you can bear with me.
All right.
My first question is if Aldrich Ames of the CIA can go to jail for so many years because he revealed government secrets, how is it that Bob, was able to pull this off? And then my second question...
Okay, well, let's do them one at a time.
Okay.
Bob, pretty good question. If you'd been revealing secrets of the magnitude that we've been talking about tonight, well, of course, I can answer.
Well, what would you jail me for? When somebody gives away, secrets, satellite secrets or other technology secrets, and, that information has to be brought out. So, okay, you're going to take me to court and say, okay, you released the information. What did he release? Oh, well, secret stuff. Well, what? You're not going to trick them into admitting what they're trying to keep secret.
Yeah, and something of this magnitude, exactly so. So I guess I would answer that caller. I mean, after all, if they charged him with something, they would simply underscore everything he said. Next question.
Okay, the next question is, are there not simpler ways to create gravitational propulsion effects, like with scalar waves, possibly? I mean, we're talking element 115. This whole procedure seems so exotic and so advanced. Can we not work with what we have now?
There have not been gravitational waves produced in any other method, and there are claims as such all over the place, and people say you can do it with these Mercury engines. I've heard scalar waves. I've seen, all of that data. The bottom line is it's not real.
Next.
Okay, last question. T. Townsend Brown, John Searle, Victor Schauberger with his Vortex technology, John Keel, Otis T. Carr, all these researchers, which this relates to the second question, and I think I know how you're going to answer it. How do you feel about what they've so-called contributed to gravitational propulsion technology?
Contributed where? Where is it? Show me one. Bring it down here. I'll even fly and see it. Every time I've wasted my time on that, looking at everybody that's claimed any of that stuff, it's never panned out.
It's like perpetual motion.
Yeah, there's plenty of claims, and,
sure.
People want, are looking for funding to research this or do that, and, for the most part, there is no device of any sort that can create a gravitational wave now. And go ahead and prove me wrong. Other than what was at S4.
Damn, you are such a reasonable person.
No, but that's a fact. Please prove me wrong.
Well,
come and check out what you're going to claim.
With you all the way, but you see, that's what makes your other claims so damn legit in my mind, just like that person who fast blasted me. Jeez, Louise, in every other way, you're so...
Now, that I'm not belittling these people that are doing this work. T. Thompson Brown, many others were brilliant people doing work, and
yes.
I think a lot of the things they observed have other explanations.
Yes.
And, just because something lifts off the ground does not make it gravity propulsion. But gravity propulsion, I define as something that's acting directly against gravity, and I don't mean being lifted by electrostatic forces, something like that, something that's actually counteracting.
Your skepticism everywhere else just is so strange in light of what you say to the rest of us.
Look, I barely believe my own story. It happened to me. That's how big of a skeptic I am.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Bob Lazar.
Hello, Bob.
Hi there.
It's nice speaking to both of you.
And to you, sir, where are you, out of curiosity?
I'm from Pasadena. My name's Sandy.
Okay.
Yes, for over 20 years, I've been within the research of exobiology. I don't want to mention any names, but my ex-father-in-law, who was with the CIA at Groom Lake, before he died of Agent Orange, he asked me if there's anything I would like to know about Area 51. And I said, yes. Is the government cover-ups of UFOs and ETs true? He said yes, because he stood guard several feet away within one of the hangar bays, guarding ETs from the UFO that was being brought from one place to another.
But this person your dad is passed on.
Yes, he passed away. See, he was all fed up with the government for what they were doing to him, because he spent so much time in the service and all that, with them, that they wouldn't do any more for him. And so he just said, to heck with it.
Yeah, they have a pretty bad record of taking care of their own people.
Right.
But, you find a lot of people as they come, close to the end of their lives. Look what happened with the JFK thing. Just if enough time goes by, people become more comfortable releasing what they know.
Yeah, well, that's why I said there's got to be other Bob Lazars out there, and there surely are. So you take the very moral position that you would rather see them not come back for their own sakes than come back and verify your story.
Oh, absolutely. If you're listening, don't listen to Art. Don't say anything.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Hello, this is Bob in Beaverton listening to KEX.
Yes, sir.
I want to know, Bob, have you ever heard of the work of Jerry Gallimore, who under certain conditions could see gravity?
No, never heard that before.
Okay, the way he did it was doing the old high school science class project, just lay a bar magnet on a table and put the paper on it and sprinkle the iron filings on it, so you can see the magnetic lines of force.
Okay.
But Jerry was a Native American and something of a shaman, and around the center point of that magnet, he could see a halo of energy that was gravity.
Okay, and here is where
Why does he think it was gravity?
The metaphysical meets science. Well, regardless, he thought that. So, do you ever wonder about that at all, Bob? I mean, the entire metaphysical world, maybe it's all hooey, and maybe it's another one where you can say, prove it to me first, but boy, I'll tell you, there's some good stories out there. I hear them all the time about things that we simply really don't understand regarding the afterlife.
And I'm sure that is true. To be so bold to say that, boy, we have science handled, and we pretty much know what's going on, and everything's cut and dry, and, that is so far from the truth. We aren't even at the tip of the iceberg as far as knowledge about everything around us, and, talk about the metaphysical stuff. We really have no idea what's going on, and a lot of these things that, people think are silly, and the things that I may laugh at may actually turn out to be true.
Oh, yeah.
So
there's going to be a place.
It's important to keep an open mind.
There's going to be a place, Bob, where the metaphysical or something in the metaphysical square on meets science, and science suddenly will say, oh my God, there is another side, or oh my God, we really now suddenly have proof to some degree of a soul, some way to prove something in the metaphysical. Who knows what it might turn out to be, but somewhere science and metaphysical will suddenly meet. I predict it. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Hi, this is Ken in Salt Lake, and I'm just loving your program. You guys are both wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
I have an observation and a question. The observation is in Encarta, in Microsoft Encarta, in the encyclopedia, there's a reference about element 115. If you go into 1976, look under physics, 1976, it talks about element 115 as being present in a meteorite that came into the Earth's atmosphere.
Oh.
And also the heavier elements.
Wait a minute, sir.
Wait.
Where was this again?
In Encarta. Yeah, which is the, I guess that's the, the encyclopedia that you get for your computer from Microsoft.
Really?
So in Microsoft Encarta, and you go to 1976, where under physics.
They're talking about a meteor that had element 115.
115, and they were able to measure it and deduce that it had element 115 in it. And also, the other references for 116 through about 124 at the end of the article, it says they were measured in mica schist that was in Africa.
Wow.
So in mica schist, which is, I guess, a rock formation, there's trace when they bombard it with a Van de Graaff generator at high energy, gives off a pattern of atomic, some signature that shows that those elements were there. The logic is there. They talk about it.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yes.
Now, this isn't Encarta. We're not talking about something that's on the internet.
Yeah, we were talking about Encarta that you'd buy for your computer, which is a encyclopedia from Microsoft.
It comes from Microsoft, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a Microsoft software program. You just put it in
what did you look up to find this?
Under Physics, 1976.
All right, great.
And at the bottom of the article, it's in there, the reference. Okay, the other question I have, the only question I have
All
here
right,
is...
stop for a second. Out there, if somebody would be so kind as do the research, email it to me. I'll have it by tomorrow night. Continue, sir.
Okay, let's see, one other question. That is, I heard the rumor that somebody had tried to open one of the reactors somewhere on the facility there. Somebody made that suggestion and that there was a atomic explosion underground. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I heard that, and I heard that officially, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was one of the things that was told to me. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I worked there, because I was allegedly replacing one of these people. So the previous Bob Lazar got a little too close to what was going on, apparently, and from what I recall from the story, I believe it was in March, and I don't remember the date, but it was announced as a nuclear test. And there is a corresponding date for that test. And what they have listed as the test is completely false information. That was the detonation of the reactor at the test site.
In the detonation, so it exploded with the force of, you say they announced it as
it was a low-yield test.
A low yield.
You know, remember they used to do that in Las Vegas all the time.
Sure, I used to announce it, get off high buildings, that kind of stuff.
Right, they'd always tell you in advance. But anyway, that data is on their site. Not about what it was, but that date, and I don't remember it in March. I'm sure George Knapp or one of those guys that kept
Do you know anything about the nature of the explosion?
Yeah, I know it was... The intention was, the frustration was with the reactor at that point, and for whatever reason, somebody had the bright idea, well, let's try and open it while it's operating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Extra smart guys working on this problem. So they took this, they took one of the prototype, not the prototype reactors, one of the reactors from one of the other craft, and by the way, they all looked exactly the same, not the craft, but the reactors. And they took it to the nuclear test site, and it was done remotely underground. And the people monitoring it apparently were too close, and they didn't realize the explosion was going to be that large, and it did. And again, this isn't something I witnessed. This is something I was told, but it was something I was told while I was out at the site. So it just has another notch of authenticity because I heard it out there.
How many people allegedly lost their lives in this? Do you know?
I don't recall. It wasn't like there were a lot of people. There were, 2 or 3 people from what seems to stick in my mind, but I can't say that for sure. I don't recall.
Whew.
I did hear that exact story.
I'll be doggone. I had never heard any of that. All right. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Yes, my name is Ben. I'm just outside of Boston.
Okay.
And I've got a question going back to Bob's comments about running his car on hydrogen.
Okay, fire away.
Okay. Over the last bunch of years, Nexus magazine has run at least a couple of articles about running one's car on hydrogen using electrolysis. In other words, generating the hydrogen on board, on demand. And some people I've spoken to about it say it's a ridiculous idea, that it's impossible, that it would take...
I'm one of those people.
Really? More energy?
It's not happening. You can't crack water that fast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't.
Because there's a guy...
Unless you're carrying a nuclear power plant behind you. you just can't. Water doesn't come apart that fast. And there are flash ways. In fact, I met a physicist from Sandia Labs here and was talking to him, and they have this neat device that kind of works on a plasma pulse and cracks water at much higher volume than electrolysis. And in fact, a guy emailed me emailed me recently that has something that does that with hydrocarbons. But as far as, driving a car and producing hydrogen by electrolysis from water at a volume great enough to keep the car running, it is never going to happen. It's not going to happen.
So you are required really to generate the hydrogen at some other time, some other place, and then pipe it into the car and store it. You can't.
Our product is a small hydrogen generator, kind of like a dishwasher. Sits in your garage, solar panels, and it takes 2 to 3 days to fill the tanks because it takes a lot of energy and it takes a long time to do it. Now there are faster ways, but they consume more power, and some don't, but are more complicated, don't use water, so on and so forth. Ours is low cost, just connects to the water line, uses solar panels, and slowly cranks out hydrogen, and you can, over a period of 2 to 3 days, fill the tanks in your car, and then, you can drive 700 miles. Ideally, you'd have several sets of tanks and just fill them and whatnot, but it's the only way to do it. I've been playing with hydrogen fuel systems since the late 70s, and you just can't make it fast enough.
Caller, a few seconds.
Well, I'm all set.
You're happy? All right, then
I
bye.
guess. Yep,
Thank you, and take care. And I'm afraid that time is slipping by. No, it has slipped by, and the end of the program is here. So, hey, Bob, man, what a great program. Again, every time you come on, it's a great program.
Hey, always great to talk to you, Art.
And maybe next time you're here, I'll give you the Lear test. Anyway.